The current Darth Vader comic has been one of the most consistently great works within the canon. But over the past few issues focusing on the origins of Vader's castle on Mustafar, there's been one point that has stuck with me. The Rogue One visual guide states that it's the Emperor's designs that Vader lives in the castle there. However, if the Vader comic has made one thing clear, it has been Vader himself who's determined the location of his castle, and not Palpatine in the slightest so far. But I believe the events that will be seen over the last 2 issues of the comic series will give the Emperor the motivations for having Vader continue to live on Mustafar. Specifically, the primary driver of these designs by Palpatine will be the pushing of Vader towards the dark side more than ever following his interaction with Lord Momin, and it will be this interaction with Momin that will cause Palpatine to have Vader live in the place where it occurred. Of course, it isn't a stretch to believe that Vader won't succeed in his efforts to reunite with Padme, whereby he has achieved a measure of eternal life with her despite his fall to the dark side. But specifically, I believe that his failure in this project to reunite with Padme will turn Vader himself into Lord Momin's masterpiece, a creation worthy of the grandeur of the dark side, an artistic design that will make Momin worthy in the eyes of the Force. In this video expose, I will explain why Vader will be Lord Momin's true darkside masterpiece, whereby Vader's failures on Mustafar to open the darkside locus to reunite with Padme will result in Palpatine forcing his apprentice to remain on the planet. First, it should be quickly noted how it appears the Rogue One guide flies in the face of what we know to be true in the Vader comic. The guide, in referring to Vader's castle on Mustafar, states, "It is by the Emperor's design that Vader lives in such an unforgiving environment." But the Vader comic has shown the exact opposite to be true so far. It was Vader who first brought up the desire to have a planet of his own, and after Palpatine suggested Naboo and Tatooine, it too was Vader who decided it should be Mustafar. In fact, Palpatine is initially confused as to why Vader desired Mustafar so much, and demanded his apprentice tell him why he wanted the planet for himself. Vader then revealed his own personal reasons for why he desired Mustafar, telling Palpatine that when he bled his Kyber crystal at the darkside locus on the planet, he saw deeper into the Force than ever before. Thus, there were things that were possible there that were impossible anywhere else. Palpatine knew exactly what he meant. Vader wanted to attempt to reconnect with Padme there, to use the power of the locus to reunite with the person he attempted to save as Anakin Skywalker. And Sidious, without hesitation, agreed. Therefore, at no point so far in the comic has the Rogue One guide been true. It's been Vader's designs that he live upon Mustafar, and not Palpatine's. So then what could this mean, and is it possible to reconcile these two sources? I believe that ultimately, the designs for Vader to live on Mustafar is the result of what happens after Vader attempts to reunite with Padme through Momin's work, seen over the remaining 2 issues. In having reanimated himself within the present through the designs of Vader's fortress, Momin will contribute to Vader becoming his greatest work of art, an omen to the dark side worthy of the title of masterpiece. This doesn't have to even be intentional by the ancient Sith Lord, where Momin specifically set out to make Vader his masterpiece, and certainly may be an unintended consequence. I mean, at the end of the most recent issue, number 23, Momin seems to believe that he, in combination with the fortress of his own design, was his own masterpiece. But we also know that Momin lived by a principle that defined and guided his life's work, the artistic journey he endeavored upon. Never believe that any of your creations are perfect, only believe that the next one could be. This was a principle developed through his defeat at the hands of the Jedi upon his superweapon, one the ancient Sith would harbor from his time to the time of Vader. Thus, even if he believed he created his masterpiece in the fortress and using it to reanimate himself, Momin wouldn't be one to believe he truly obtained perfection, or at the very least, he'd still believe something greater would still be left to create. This principle is fundamental to the story of Lord Momin. Atypical of a Sith Lord, Momin chose to take no apprentice, deciding there was too much to learn to spend time teaching another. And so he dedicated himself to learning all that he could about the Force and the dark side. Eventually, Momin found his journey was an artistic one of creation rather than destruction. After studying the lore of the dark side and visiting its great sights around the galaxy, Momin devoted himself to his one true audience, the Force itself. And Momin would do everything he could to impress and sanctify it so that one day he might be accepted as worthy in the eyes of his audience. With this guiding him, Momin's first attempt to fashion his masterpiece wasn't to decimate a city, but to manipulate the population's pain and fear to create an eternal shrine to the dark side. While an obsidian tower capable of tuning the dark energies on Mustafar and seemingly reanimate himself is certainly impressive, what better way to sanctify the dark side than a living, breathing embodiment of the profound truth of the dark side's existence, Darth Vader? Based on what we know about Lord Momin, Vader's the perfect medium for the ancient Sith in which to create his true masterpiece. Vader was certainly immensely powerful, recognized by Momin to be much more powerful than anything he could approximate during his own lifetime. But Vader's power wasn't necessarily of value to Momin for his artistic quest and his attempt to impress the dark side. Yes, Momin could attempt to kill Vader and offer up his life, or use him to wreak havoc across the galaxy, demonstrating the sheer power of the dark side. But Momin knew that the dark side demanded more than mere death in tribute to it. The dark side needed to be fed with something greater than death itself. And therefore, it's the pain and fear that Vader's existence is reduced to, and the suffering that it causes him, that will be the true medium for which Momin will work with. From a very young age, Momin understood that pain and fear, the purest of all emotions, were also the most powerful, being a reduction to an individual's most fundamental self. Knowing this, he sought to make these components a part of every creation he made. And yet, even after his study of the dark side, it was still pain and fear that drove his creations. It would be these two emotions that he attempted to use to create an eternal shrine to the dark side through his superweapon, trying to offer these up to the Force in tribute and to prove himself worthy to the dark side. Thus, Momin's true masterpiece will be the tribute he offers to the dark side in the creation of Darth Vader. That is, the further torment of his pain and suffering, art and truth that have been brought to life. To do this, Momin would offer Vader the one thing he desires most, to reunite with Padme. It should be remembered that this was long known by Momin before he started constructing the fortress, having told Vader that while he was attempting to steal his secrets at the Darkside Locus on Mustafar, Momin saw into Vader. This would allow Momin to understand what Vader wanted, and explains why he offered it up to him. Momin will create his true Darkside masterpiece by offering Padme to Vader, and then ripping it away from him a second time, leaving Vader reduced to enormous pain and suffering, the emotions that first drove the former Jedi to the dark side. The ancient Sith would then pay these up to the Force to prove his worth, an offering that would feed the dark side as recognized by Momin. Therefore, in the final two issues, I believe that Momin will thwart Vader's attempts to reunite with Padme, and in doing so, will have driven Vader deeper to the dark side than ever before. Momin will have created his true masterpiece for his only real audience, the Force itself, and thereby craft something worthy of the dark side. Vader will be a living work of art acting as a shrine to the dark side, with pain, fear, and suffering immediately recognizable to all who looked upon him. In this way, with Vader having been denied Padme in the most brutal way possible, having been so close to reuniting with her again, the Mustafar castle will become the site of Vader's greatest defeat. And thus, it will then be Palpatine's wish to force his apprentice to live among the torture that's his own existence. So there we have it, why Vader will ultimately become Lord Momin's true Darkside masterpiece. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter, @SWReadingClub, for updates regarding the channel, or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. If not for me... for resisting the urge to say this was all just one big test.